Thank you everyone for joining our webinar today. This one is dedicated to the playbooks. So great meeting you guys. Thank you for joining. More people are in this webinar now. Yeah, let's break it down. We can kick off. So yeah, hosting this webinar session for you from Kyiv, from Ukraine. Really excited. The whole team is really excited to have this for you today. Quite a few of you, I think I already know, and you know me. For those who meeting us for the first time, they call me Stan. Big pleasure. Here at Reply, I am a customer success manager, basically working on daily basis to make sure you have the most value from our platform, converting your feedback into actionable feature and all of that. So I think, this is the great time together because AI is scaling fast and we definitely more want to be ahead of the curve. And it's great that you're grabbing this opportunity. The market is still fresh. So this is really, really important, I think, and really the best time to do that. We all know that, yeah, devil in the details, as they say. And in our case, details are hidden in our prompts. We talk about the playbooks. Playbooks consist of prompts, and we are going to look under the hood and talk about all these details. Basically, that is why I have brought in the big guns. You've heard me mention him many times on our calls. If we had sessions with you, but today you are finally to get to meet the person behind the scenes, our noble prompt engineer, Eugene. Eugene is basically our architect behind the logic that keeps the playbooks rolling. Eugene, if you want to introduce yourself, mic is yours.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Stan. Hey, everyone. Happy to see everyone. I'm Eugene. I'm a prompt engineer at Reply. And today I'll be happy to share some tips to help steer your AI outreach in the direction you want it to go. So we'll have a look at all the details, all the things that actually influence the way our messages look like. And I really hope this session will be helpful for all of you.
Yeah, thank you, Eugene. Yeah, so what we are going to cover today, this is pretty much the agenda. We start with the basics, just for the good measure and just, to warm up. We then move along by stopping at the Playbooks Library station. After that, Eugene will take a look under the hood of our custom playbooks. Important part. Hope you're gonna enjoy looking how this all works. And then we will definitely share some most common mistakes right after that. And the idea is to wrap up with the Q&A session. So basically, this is how we want to host this webinar today. This is what we are going to discuss.
Mhm. And I would like to also add, if you have any questions at any point, just feel free to drop a message in the chat. We'll try to do our best to answer it, maybe during that section that we're going to be covering, or during the Q&A at the end. Either way, but just feel free to ask your questions in the chat at any point. Just don't wait till the Q&A so you don't lose that thought. Just while you have it, just write it down.
Definitely. Yeah, so again, warming up, please type in the chat. Let's see what we have here. You can see 4 options, and I invite you to answer to that question. What's your experience with the playbooks? Just want to see what our audience thinks about that. And if you never use them, please just drop 1. If tried them, but still not sure how this all work, type 2. If you're just using ready-made playbooks already, saw them in the library, selected the favorite playbook, and already acquainted with this technology, 3 is your choice. And then the last one, 4, building the custom playbooks for myself. If you already tried that, maybe have some campaigns with custom playbooks, please let us know in the chat. Just really curious. Okay, 4 from Andy. Yeah, okay, have some answers in the chat. Again, let us know how is it for you. Okay, we have 2 and 3 from Tom. Okay, really interesting. Try them. Use some custom ones. Okay, it's really great to see that some of you guys already have your custom playbooks and you created something just for you. Amazing. Thank you for the feedback. Yep, what are the playbooks, how they work, and all of that. So basically, Eugene, stage is yours. Have fun.
Okay, thank you, Stan. All right, so the playbooks are a special set of instructions that tell Jason, our AI, how to write on your behalf. So there you can put some rules about tone, you can add some message templates. So every message sounds exactly that it came from you. So basically, yeah, these are instructions, and there was a question in the chat, is that a prompt? It is a part of a part that goes into the prompt that generates the message for you. And it helps you to pass your tone, your style, and maybe your winning templates if you have those inside the prompt. So the message looks really nice and personalized and in your voice. And let's see first what playbooks can do and what you can do with playbooks and what they cannot do. And that's probably an important thing for you to understand to have the right expectation of this functionality. So as I said, playbooks help you to manage tone, style, length of the messages, things like that. And if you remember just one thing about the playbooks, they are all about content, how your message, what your message is going to look like, how it's going to sound, and that's their main goal. Then, yeah, you can also manage the subject lines. So you can set up things like, hey, I want my first email to have this subject line, or here are some options from the subject lines for AI to pick from, whatever would be relevant for my message. Here is a subject line for message number 3 and things like that. You can control that via playbooks. Also, you can use different personalization points. Those are some background information that JSON AI collects for each contact. And by default, that can be some LinkedIn information, their posts, also information about their company that contact is working for. Maybe there's some news that's about that company and things like that. And also you can customize which personalization points you would like to pick. Like there are some things like you could do deeper research, for example. You want to include some financial information and build your message around that. That's also possible with the playbook. Also, playbooks help you to generate messages according to your templates for various step types. So you can indicate, hey, I want my LinkedIn message to follow this exact template. And for AI just to fill out the blanks, yeah, how you want to personalize. And that's probably the main idea behind playbooks, that they give you control of how your final messages are going to look like. If you have those desired templates, if you have your desired tone of voice that you want to use, that's the tool you want to use in JSON, the playbooks. Also, they can use links. You can pass things like, for example, you want to reach out to people who registered for your webinar, and hey, here's our recording. Playbooks can also dynamically populate those. And what they do, they send a sequence of messages, or they influence the content in a sequence of messages until your target contact responds to you. So yeah, that could be just a chain of, I don't know, 3 emails, 4 LinkedIn messages, 1 voice, and things like that. But just a thing to remember that Playbook works until you get a response from a contact. After that, Playbooks don't control your conversation, and actually you have an option to either continue a conversation yourself, or also use Jason's reply handling to conduct the conversation for you, but that's already not part of Playbooks.
Thanks, Eugene. Yeah, so on this slide, we see all these things that Playbooks can do. And I really wonder to know, let me ask you this, do you see some new findings for you? Are any of these do's you have just discovered? Again, let us know in chat. Let's talk. We just want to, again, get your feedback, understand the situation better so we can collaborate more efficiently. Let us know if anyone, let's say, maybe you did not know that we can use links. That's another topic. And as I said, talked with many of you about the risk of using links, but still technically we can do that in a limited form, or something else you've seen that is new. Let us know. Okay, yeah, yeah. And yeah, so Eugene, I had a case when, for example, in one playbook, this is question to you, uh, client wanted, like a set, like the do, for example, it was, for example, like create a new thread by giving the new subject line to the second email follow-up. So is it possible via playbook? Will you talk about that just slightly more, these kind of
Yeah,
aspects?
yeah, sure. So as I said, Playbooks control the content of the message, but not the behavior of your sequence. So when you are setting up a JSON AI sequence, you have an opportunity to set it up yourself, like determine which steps are going to be there, which channels to use, like emails or LinkedIn and things like that. And playbooks do not influence the way you structure your sequence. So let's say that a sequence, for example, has an email and 3 follow-ups. And if you have instructions for those exact step types in the playbooks, we can extract those and make sure that we use those instructions to personalize the messages according to those instructions, but we cannot control it otherwise. Like you cannot say, hey, I want to build a sequence that starts with a LinkedIn message and then goes into 2 emails. So no, like the behavior of things,
Mhm.
that's not that the playbooks control. That's something that you can just set up during creation of your sequence, or when you have the sequence created, you can change the settings to make sure that the sequence look the way you want it to look.
Okay, yeah. So basically, the JSON will build the cadence, the skeleton, the sequence itself, and playbook will just work as a copywriting manager. And you mentioned like this is one of the things that playbook cannot do. So should we talk more about that? Things it cannot do because not
Yeah,
supposed to?
yeah, sure, sure. Have a slide just for that. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier, that the playbook controls the messages until you get a response from a contact. So basically, what cannot they do? They cannot have a multi-turn conversation. That just naturally comes from that thing. So don't expect playbooks to write or respond in your style after the conversation. That's something that you can do via reply handling, but just not playbooks. Also, you cannot set a behavior of interacting with the LinkedIn profile. So sometimes we see that our clients would want to write something like that in the playbook, like, hey, open the LinkedIn profile, like their post, send a connect request. After that send 3 LinkedIn messages. That's again something that playbooks cannot do. It's a behavioral thing, not a content thing. But again, that's something that you can set up in the sequence when you are building it. Also, playbooks cannot research new contacts and any info on the context. Like you cannot say, hey, please add 20 YouTube influencers and also research what the name of their dog is, or something like that. So unfortunately, like you cannot do that with a playbook. So again, those are more like behavioral things. Also, playbooks cannot choose with you cannot control which context to reach out to and which context to ignore. Let's say you have, for example, 100 contacts in your sequence that you have. And you probably cannot say, hey, if that is a CTO, then reach out to them. If their title is an engineer, then just don't write to them at all. So if you want that behavior, just make sure to remove all the contexts that are not desired for that sequence. But what you can do is actually to control the messaging. Let's say, like, if a contact is a CTO, write this. If a contact is an engineer, write this. That's content, and you can do that with playbooks. And also, one thing we can do with playbooks is attaching files. Just one, not the option there for this functionality. And as I said earlier, we cannot set sequence structure, like saying, hey, build me a sequence with 4 LinkedIn messages and 2 emails. That's something that you just do separately in a sequence builder.
Okay, thank you, Eugene. So yeah, the same question from me. Now that we look at the things that Playbook cannot do, anything that is again new to you, and maybe you tried something and now we understand, okay, Playbook is not basically the right tool, maybe attaching files or something like this. Let us know in the chat, please. Really curious about what you think about this type of behavior of the Playbook. So yeah, and Eugene, just to confirm, Playbook copywriting manager, it cannot affect what step would be through the prompt, right? We just have the cadence built by Jason before, and the Playbook is just a tool that helps navigate, shape all these steps, like so, right?
Yeah, totally. And I really love this metaphor. So Playbook is your copywriter, and Jason does all the other things for actions. But yeah, Playbooks just control the content. And just one thing to remember about them when thinking like what they can and cannot do. And speaking of that, let's have a look what messages may look like with a playbook and without a playbook. So here is an example of a message generated for a company called Sorrel, which are a shoemaking company. And we, let's say that we're trying to reach out to them to pitch reply as a service. So if you send a message, for example, without a playbook, it may look like this, like, hey, Anthony, your role managing Sorrel European expansion likely involves scaling outreach. Just we have a personalization, that's not bad. With Sorrel's exciting partnerships like the Barber collaboration and Paris Fashion Week showcase, maintaining consistent engagement across multiple channels becomes crucial. We're targeting a pain point. Reply automates follow-ups. And so on. I was just wondering, do you currently use any tools for automating follow-ups at Sorrel? Well, it's okay. But if we want to make this a little bit sounding more like us, maybe we have a little bit different style, we could use a playbook to pass that. So for example, here, we want our opening lines to be a little bit shorter. And with a playbook, it may sound like, hey, Anthony, saw your F26 Pioneer Collection showcase during Paris Fashion Week. Big launch with lots of new partnerships to manage. That's, I think, the messages, the sentences are shorter, and kind of like the personalization is more on point. With Sorrel's expansion into collaborations like Night Decker, there are probably a lot of early stage conversations to keep moving. So we also used something that we got from our research about them and made an assumption. Basically, that's probably would be our pain point for that specific person. And then we say like what replies does and asking like if this is worth exploring, and also adding a little PS there. And this sounds to me personally a little bit better, a little bit simpler, I would say, and easier to understand what the person writing to you actually wants.
Thanks, Eugene. Yeah, if I may, like, do just one comment here. Like, basically, when we look at the structure with the playbook, the pattern behind this is like this, probably industry standard now, that we just do show me that you know me type of concept. We want just to start with the personalized line opener, and that's why you basically see that first message. So your F26 per year. Definitely, we have what is called personalization points when we can define what should AI use at the beginning, or you can just change it in the custom playbooks. I'm just not gonna stop talking about that here, but later definitely. And yeah, this is pretty much how we can like nurture the prospects. We show that we did the research, then we address some of their struggle, pain points, and then we end up with a offer or value proposition, how we can help. We can show how we help similar companies with this and that. And we close with a call to action. It can be soft call to action or just straight to the point, depending on your style, on your needs. So just that comment. Thank you, Eugene. Yeah.
Right.
And the library. Yeah. So the Playbooks library. Again, if somebody is watching this and never used Playbooks before, where like how can you understand where to start? Should you like start building this prompt from the scratch, and or maybe not? So can we talk more about this library, what it is, what's the advantage of it, and how can we start from there?
Sure, thanks. And I guess the title of this slide kind of hints that, yeah, you don't have to start from scratch if you're new to this. We have Playbooks Library, which is a great starting point. It has pre-built and tested playbooks for different occasions. And to access that Playbooks library, you just click AI SDR, then you're going to see Playbooks menu, you click that, and then you're going to see library. And the library actually contains more than 30 playbooks, and you can skip through those, click through those, see what they're built for. There are descriptions, and you can see the content there. And they are built for different situations. So, for example, recommended library for most cold outreach situations is the reply method, and we have a couple of iterations there. Like you see that the reply method version 2, version
Mhm.
2.1, and the version 2.1 is the current one. And that's something that probably will be pre-selected for you when you are already starting to build a new sequence. But there are other as well. Like there are some playbooks with ultra short templates. That's always very useful because a lot of, I think, AI generated content, it's usually too long, and ultra short templates, it's something that can help you there. There's templates for like pain point based outbound sales, sales through lead magnets, inbound webinar playbook. So if we want to send you guys some links or do continue our conversation after a webinar, we might also use that playbook as well. But we're not, no, don't worry, that we're not gonna send you like a multi-sequence many messages there. We're happy that you're with us. Maybe we'll send just one follow up with something useful. Um, yeah,
Yeah. So yes, thank you, Eugene. Yes, so we have this library. It's constantly expanding. We're like building new and new um, playbooks. The recent one was the reply method 2.1, just maybe 2 or 3 weeks old. That gathers all the best practices we have been using ourselves, pretty much. We have new playbooks for the inbound. If you scroll down to the library, you will find them there. But again, if default playbook doesn't work, you looked at the library, you want something else, something unique, something that feels better to what your goal is, to your style, to your daily mood, anything. So let's talk about how can we customize those. What should you do to build your own custom playbook and how this all works?
yeah, sure. And I think that's the main point of our webinar today, to learn a little bit more how to build better custom playbooks. Before we get into that, let's just wanted to show you, give you a little guidance on when to use a library, when to use custom playbooks. So if you're new to JSON AI playbooks, yeah, by all means, try a library, see how that is going to influence your messages that you get. If you want to launch fast, you don't want to spend lots of time setting things up, that's also a way to go. Also, if you want to test different outreach styles, so you can test various playbooks there to see which is going to work best for you. And a library is a perfect place for you to start if you want to get into playbooks and you want to edit things later. Like for that, you just copy a playbook from the library into your own custom theme playbook. And you can switch things. For example, you can change the frameworks and the examples of messages so it gets your style correctly. That's also a way to go. But of course, if you want to go just full on with these playbooks and you want full customization, you can by all means start with building your own custom playbooks. So if you want to have your brand voice incorporated there, that's the perfect place to do that. Or, for example, you have a specific ICP, very narrow target audience that you're writing to that are using maybe a very specific language. That's another use case for custom playbooks. And if you have some frameworks that you want to replicate, if you have your own message templates that you know work best, then you can also pass that to JSON AI to actually copy those templates and to make it sound just like you. And of course, if library doesn't fit your needs anymore, then it's time. It means that it's a good time to build a custom playbook.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the comparison. And we do have cases when our clients come to start the conversation. I love the playbook. This part is something that I want to use, but then I've been doing outreach for the couple years. I've collected my winner messages. It can be LinkedIn messages or emails. So we can do this kind of mixture, if you like. Take something from our playbook, just season it with your best templates, make it slightly personalizable, fine tune everything, and that will go. So that's also the approach. We do this, and just to, again, as Eugene said, make a playbook that will replicate your style. So super possible.
Yeah. And to access custom playbooks, what you do is just do again, you go to AI SDR, press playbooks, and there is team. That's the place where your custom playbooks live. And when you press that, you will see kind of like a blank document, or not blank, it's pre-filled for you. It has some sections like do and don't and subject lines and frameworks and things like that. So that's for you to keep. Do not erase those, or make sure to incorporate them when you write your playbook. So that's your starting point. Just replace the 3 dots with your own instructions. And we'll get into those just in a second. So we'll show you how to fill those up so AI actually listens to you. There are 3 main pillars in JSON AI playbooks. So you just have to get those right. As you've seen on the previous slide, we have these sections. They're called do's and don'ts. There are subject line rules. There are step type rules. You actually, what's important to know that it's okay not to fill out some of the sections. So for example, if you don't have strong opinions in how your subject lines should look like, you can keep those blank. Or again, maybe you want to tune only a little, give it a little style notes. So do's and don'ts will be good for that. And you don't get into, for example, describing each template for each step type. That's fine too. But what's important to remember here is that just keep those headlines, those titles, do's and don'ts, subject line rules, step type rules, as is. We need that structure to understand this playbook better. And why we need that? Because when we are building our prompt, the large prompt that actually will generate our final message, we want to pull the right information at the right time. So for example, if you have a large playbook with 30 different examples for different step types and things like that, we don't want to just take this whole playbook with everything as it is, as one big chunk, and insert it into our prompt. Chances are that the model might not understand that, for example, it's now writing the first email and it needs to pull the rules only for the first email and not the third LinkedIn follow-up or things like that. Because there are things called attention in the way large language models work. And they also might be a little bit forgetful. That's why it's important for us to actually be a little surgeons there, go into the playbook, extract exactly what we need, and put it into our prompt. So keeping these titles, do's and don'ts, step type rules, and things like that, is important for AI to understand which section of the playbook to take those rules from. And our first pillar is do's and don'ts. These are instructions that describe your tone, style, language, message length, and things like that. We usually start with them. And the ones that the ones that go to the beginning of this playbook, we call them global do's and don'ts, but there are also do's and don'ts for step types that you can use. So for example, if you want to have every message that is 70 words long, no matter it's a LinkedIn voice or an email, you can put it into a global do that will be used for every message. And if you want to control, for example, you want like every message to be 70 words long, but the voice message to be 50 words long. So you will add a do into voice message. That in that case we'll call it a local do. But that's just like our internal thing to just better differentiate between these two types of do's and don'ts. And a good way to think about do's and don'ts, like what you should put there, what you should put in some other places. So most of the times you will use playbooks to kind of add your own templates, message templates into AI to make sure that it gets replicated. So if something is not a template, put it into do's and don'ts. That's your rule of thumb. So what can it look like? Those can be your goals for your outreach, like what you want to achieve, whether you want to have a meeting with someone, maybe you want your hiring people or anything like that. You can put it in do's and don'ts. Tone of voice instructions, whether you want to sound professional or maybe you want to be more laid back. You can also indicate that in do's and don'ts. Message length instructions can go there as well. You can add your calendar lengths, for example. You're using Calendly and you're finishing your message with like, hey, if this sounds interesting, here's my Calendly, just book a meeting whenever works for you. That's also that you can control via playbooks, and any actually other kind of content instructions that might go there. A good recommendation from us, try to keep do's and don'ts within 10 or 15 items in each for best performance. AI tends to work worse with the length of the prompt. So the bigger the prompt, the worse AI might perform. Again, because of those attention mechanisms, it might kind of get lost into what to really pay attention to, what to not to pay attention to. So if you see that something isn't working as expected, have a look at your do's and don'ts, make sure that they are not conflicting each other. That also might be the case. Make sure that they are simple and understandable, and make sure there are not too many of those, and reducing the number of do's and don'ts might help as well.
So we have three pillars discussed, and then in the chat we have the question from Andy, and I think the next slide is just to answer that. So let me, Eugene, just read this question out loud. So Andy asks, Will JSON AI only understand the standard section in the playbook, do's, don'ts, and then actual steps, or it is possible to create like a explain to other section? Like let's just dive into that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Basically, yeah, just keep everything under these designated sections. We'll try to understand if it's outside of those sections, but we might not extract all of those instructions correctly. Like for example, here we see an example on screen, and it starts with like, hey, goal, section called goal, think deeper step by step. The goal of this called outreach is to find investment and acquisition opportunities, thus, and some other instructions. And that is not the best way to structure that, because actually what we are doing behind the scenes is asking JSON, saying like, hey, look at this document and find the do's and don'ts, like the instructions that we need to follow, extract them for us so we can send them to our prompt. It might not, for example, if in this example, it might not extract the goal of the outreach. It might not just like, okay, the goal is just some general information. Maybe it's not a do. So it's better to write everything within these sections. But if you don't, we still will try to process it to the best of our ability. But there is a chance that we might miss some important information. So better to keep everything inside those designated sections. And so how can we improve, for example, this playbook, this part of instruction? So if you want to state a goal, just say do and semicolon. And then you say, hey, your goal is to reach out to business owners. That's your first bullet points. Then you might also say, critical, write a well thought out message that will resonate with the prospect, will make them think about the content for a while, impress them in terms of its flow. Just insert them inside that section, and that's it. That's just the best practice for us to better understand what you want to achieve with this outreach sequence. And some recommendations from us to how to format your don'ts correctly. Just a little tip. So when you're writing your don'ts, start your instruction, your bullet point with a don't again, just in case. So for example, you might write don't, and then bullet point starts, come up with fake personalization and fake case studies. That might be, that will usually be okay. But if you have lots of don'ts, AI might get lost and might start treating those as kind of like do's, like, it's just a command, come up with fake personalization. That's definitely not what we want to achieve here. So just to be on the safe side, you just phrase it like that. Do not come up with fake personalization and fake case studies. That might be a little obvious, but not always. Just make sure that everything is as clear as possible, so AI doesn't make the undesirable mistakes here.
And then, Eugene, on the previous slide, we all see that the critical word. And when you and I had this rehearsal, you told me that if you would like to yell or scream at JSON, at AI, just to follow blindly what you want, like, is this the thing that we can do? How can we yell? Just say critical and then have our do to follow.
Yeah, sure. That's actually our next point, like what we should do when the model doesn't follow your instructions. And yelling at AI, writing something in full caps, in all caps, can be helpful. If you see that some instruction is not followed, maybe you have lots of do's and don'ts, and you want to stress that it's really important, you can do things like that. Yeah, you can just write critical, semicolon, and then write your instruction. Or you might write important, do not miss this. You will be penalized if you don't obey this instruction. That's something that actually helps us to focus AI attention on what matters. And yeah, if the model doesn't follow your instructions, some of the things that you can try is play with its attention mechanism. For example, move that instruction to the top of the list. So maybe there was some critical instruction that was somewhere in the middle. Moving it to the top might actually help. So probably the attention mechanism also might work similar to humans when we tend to remember the things that were in the beginning and the end, but maybe not so good in the middle. So that might help. Also, you can repeat the instruction in local do's and don'ts. So as I said, those are step type instructions that you can also use. So that will also might help. There's also research, and we see it as well, that if you repeat the same instruction a couple of times in several places scattered around your prompt, AI might better understand that it needs to follow it. So it might be equivalent to screaming to it at it, but in a more subtle way. Also, as we said earlier, it might be a good idea to actually remove some of the instructions to reduce the text of the prompt. So to make sure that everything is plain, understandable, simple, and we're not overloading our prompt with too much information. As we said, you can add critical before your instruction, important, or anything else that actually you would maybe use to highlight something for a human. So, for example, what don't can look like, you would put critical, do not come up with fake personalization and fake case studies. That is very important, and that's our way to actually show it to AI.
Meanwhile, we have another really interesting question. So let's read it and let's think about it. So the question reads, the situation is when the pain points, like the idea is to match pain points with the specific proof points, right? When in the offer, we might have, let's say, 4 pain points. In the same offer, we have 4 proof points and 2 case studies. So can we map, like specific pain points? Can we like do this kind of combination? I want to match pain point 1 with my value proposition, which is line 2 in the offer.
Yeah, totally. You can do that. And a good idea for that way to actually add that mapping, when you are creating your sequence and the sequence inputs, you see what the pain points are, you see what the value propositions are, and you can actually edit those and you just add the number. So pain point number 1, add 1 full stop, and then the text of the pain point, 2 full stop, and things like that. And then you can get in your playbook in the do's and don'ts. You can say, hey, so use this mapping for pain points, and maybe in your framework you will use that. Hey, if we're using this template, use pain point 1. If we're using that template, use pain point 2. We can totally do that. Yeah, that's possible.
Thank you, Eugene. Definitely, I have to say this is like really advanced question. It's like another level, and basically, yeah, we can do it. Just need to play around with this. But thank you for this question, Andy.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's continue. Our next section is subject line rules. So that's very, I guess, obvious what it does. It helps us to customize our subject lines the way they sound. And you can actually control the subject lines from different parts of the playbook. You can have your own dedicated section as subject lines, and you can, for example, just state all the subject lines that you have. You can use variables so that AI knows that, hey, so we need to change the name of the company according to the company we are reaching out to, for example. And we can also control them from our do's and don'ts. That's also possible. Maybe you might have some separate instructions for that, like, hey, subject lines should be no longer than 4 words. That's also will understand that's what to do with those. Just make sure that you have these words subject lines, so our AI can understand those correctly. And yeah, that's basically what the subject lines do. That's not too complicated. You can play around with those, and we hope that everything will work out. All right, and which this brings us to our final pillar, and it's the biggest one, the step type rules. So these are the rules where we indicate how each message in our sequence is going to sound like. And it consists, this section consists of several subsections. Yeah. So the first one is step type name. So it's important to indicate, hey, so if this is email number one, then I want to write something like that. So just write, hey, email one, and write everything about this email one there. Then you can, this is optional, add do's and don'ts for this specific step type. And it will be true only for this step type. So for example, if it's a LinkedIn email message, and it will control only that message. It will not influence your emails or other step types when you have these local do's and don'ts in step type rules. Then we have a framework, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, and also a real example of framework, how that is going to look like. We'll also discuss that a bit later. So let's go on to our step type names. It's important for us to pass the names in a way that JSON will understand those, in a way that the system actually allows you to operate within these channels. So step type names may be phrased as email, as an email, it may be an email follow-up. And what's important here to kind of remember is that it's just the way JSON is built, that the first email in the sequence is going to be called an email, and everything that goes after it's an email follow-up. So let's say we have two emails in a sequence. The first one will be email number one, and the second will be email follow-up number one, not email number two. If you write email number two, that's probably going to be okay. We'll also try to understand that actually it is a follow-up, but to be on the safer side, it's better just to write, hey, this is an email follow-up. Just remember that this is a little bit tricky that way. Also, we might have LinkedIn connects, LinkedIn messages, LinkedIn emails, calls, and voice messages. So whenever you are defining rules for any of those of these step types, just make sure that you start your name this section as email number one, LinkedIn email number two, and something like that. That's also important. And how we need to indicate those, that we pass it with the step type name and a number of that step type in a sequence. So you can have a look at your sequence structure and see, hey, this is email number one. So just write this. This is the first email, initial email, email number one. Important to actually indicate what order it goes in. So if you just write that it is an email, just a generic email, probably it will be difficult for us to understand like which step type to match it with. And if you don't have some specific frameworks or things like that for like all the emails, you may use the global don'ts section and say, hey, if the step type is email, do this. That will be a better way. But if you have specific templates that you want to use for specific step types, then you indicate like what the step type name is and what its number is. So first email, initial email, email number one, everything works as long as it describes its position in the sequence. Again, first email follow-up, LinkedIn Connect. That might be without the number, because usually you just send it once to one person, and so on. Just a thing to remember for us. So as I said, it's better to remember about the emails and email follow-ups. So if something is a second email, it's actually first email follow-up. So don't write second email. That's a thing to remember. Or don't write LinkedIn follow-up and that's it. Like we have the name as it's a LinkedIn message, and they're just LinkedIn message first second, third, and things like that. We don't have this entity as a LinkedIn follow-up. So just yeah, better to write it that way. Or LinkedIn instructions for LinkedIn, do this. You can do that, but just in do's and don'ts, not in step type instructions. And what is a framework? A framework is basically your message template with variables that we want JSON to mimic, to fill out. So it may look like that. So we write second LinkedIn message. We wrote this ordinal, the number. We write like an example. We might have several examples for this same second LinkedIn message. We'll just pick one. Then we write the framework, and then we write our template. Hey, first name, like to show you a new way to your value proposition plus unique selling point. Let me know if you like to learn more. And that's it. That's how you pass the framework. So that's your template. And here you see we have some variables that we can use, and they are of two types. The first one is in curly braces, like first name, right? Double curly braces. And the second one is using the square brackets, like your value proposition plus unique selling points. And why they are different. So for double braces, these are basically variables that you will use with any outreach system, I would say, that can dynamically populate the variables based on some values in your CRM. So for example, those are very static, like first names, for example, or the name of the company, or the person who's sending the email. That's like something very basic, and something that these, we call them standard replay variables. The way you can find those, like if you go even like to people section, you can see the columns that you have there, and you can use these. And then if you want to JSON to actually write something unique for you, not just take something and plug it in, then use square brackets. So these are for longer guidelines on for your generation. So they may sound, you can phrase them any way you like, actually, just to make sure, yeah, that's something that JSON can generate, like your value proposition plus unique selling point. And a good way to check if JSON can work with these, you can go to your generation inputs in the sequence settings and see what the fields are there. Like there, you will see an ICP, you will see some pain points, you will see the selling points, the case studies, and things like that. And also you might think about the things that AI might imply. So if the person has this job title, they might have this kind of pain point, for example. That's also totally fine. Just make sure not to use some facts, the made-up facts that we might not have there. That's might be a problem. Or like hobby, trigger, signal, or observation, or job title. It's very generic, but we give options there. And if we have this don't about not making up some facts, AI just will pick whatever we have in the system for that person, what kind of observation we got, and use it, or relevant info to observation. You have like super generic, but something that you can also use. And the way that it might look, like for example, here we have a message like, hey, first name, thanks for accepting the invite. So hobby, blah, 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 blah. You see how you set this up in your framework. And what this will mean. Our next section is real example of framework that you write, and basically here you just write the way you would fill out these variables if you were writing those on your own. So this is to teach AI how to write in your voice, and how it should interpret the way we actually put these variables. So here it may sound like, hey, John, thanks for accepting the invite. So your post about tracking important things in your life. That's like, so hobby, trigger, a signal, right? Speaking of tracking, I'm building a tool to help sales companies track their competitors across pricing. would love to get your thoughts, feedback on it. And that's it. So basically, that's what you do in the real example of framework, and that's why you have to, or we recommend that you write it. You don't have to write it. You can just write a framework and that's it, and leave it to AI to decide which phrasing to pick. But that if you actually add a few examples, that will be helpful to teach you to write in your voice. And a couple of recommendations that we have when you are writing your step type rules is, again, as we said, use correct step type names. So choose from this list, and that's it. If it's an email or LinkedIn email and things like that, use an ordinal number for your step, first email, second email, follow-up, etc. You can use local do's and don'ts to specify instructions just for this step type. And use frameworks with variables and real examples to actually demonstrate the model what you are trying to achieve.
Yep.
And I think
Thank you,
Stan
Jin.
wanted
And
to ask a question here.
yeah, I think we just answered the question to Chris and just overall broken this down. We have the two types of variables. The first are basically like the dedicated to the CRM. They inherited from the reply, first name, last name, values that you can find in basically when you just have your contacts. Second option is when AI will do basically the research. So that's basically the difference, and you can use them together in your playbook.
All right. So, and now let's discuss some things that what not to do when we are building our playbooks. Let's see what are some mistakes and how we can fix those. So a lot of the mistakes or the reasons why your playbooks might not work as expected is just as simple as the structure. So for example, your instructions might be floating outside do's and don'ts. And as we mentioned before, just think how to phrase them and put them inside those do's and don'ts. And that can be a really easy fix that can help your AI generated messages to follow your voice. Another mistake is using wrong step type names. As we said, like using second email might not be optimal. Better use first email follow up, or using something like a LinkedIn follow up. Use like LinkedIn message number 2. Yeah, just a thing to remember for us. Also, to make sure if something is not working, to check for if you have the instructions that JSON cannot execute. Like we mentioned, it's better not to say things like write only to CDOs, research the company website, open LinkedIn, and like 3 posts that they have posted. That's something that Playbooks cannot help you with. Probably, chances are that that's something that you can still control via sequence settings. And if you still don't see the option that you need to, you can reach out to us and we will be happy to help there. Yeah, there are also maybe some situations when the model is ignoring your instructions, and that might be because we have too many rules, or they might be too complicated, or maybe there are some contradictions. Like in the beginning of do's, we have, for example, write emails that are not longer than 100 words, and then somewhere later we say your emails shouldn't be longer than 30 words, and that may be confusing. Just check if there are any inconsistencies. And of course, as we said, you can add like the word critical before an important instruction, or important, or anything to help AI understand that, hey, this is important, I need to fix on this. And one thing that actually, that's all that we wanted to share with you today. And one thing that we would like you to do after this webinar is to go ahead and build your own custom playbook. You can go, for example, at first to the library, maybe copy a part of the playbook, or just open a new team playbook and fill out some of the sections. Maybe write one do and one don't, and maybe write instructions for your first email and see how that will help your generation. There's nothing better than using these things in practice, and you will see how your instructions influence your outputs. Um, yeah, and that's actually what we wanted to share with you today. And now we will be happy to take some questions. So write those in the chat. Maybe we already have a couple of questions that we haven't been able to address yet. This is the time.
Thank you, Eugene. Like really interesting. All of that is super structured. Hope the guys will have like better understanding, maybe filled some gaps during the session. Yeah, so we landed on the last slide of the presentation. We've been answering the question on a go, luckily. But overall, just to sum up, what is important? The structure of the playbook, right? If you have something that you want AI to do, make sure to have it either in do's or either in don'ts. You can utilize our library and look at the into it and see if you can find the playbook that can work for you right away, so you can start without dedicated time to build your custom playbooks. We will gonna share this recording definitely with everyone. I took a note to answer one question with more details to Andy. We also covered the variables that we have two types. One of them is the type when the curly braces. This is our default variables for the first name, last name, all this basic information that lives in your contact card. And square brackets or braces, the ones that you can create, and AI will fill those with information which it will find on the LinkedIn profile of the person. And this is how you can combine all of them. So let's see. Yeah, another question, Eugene. Let's read it out loud. Won't the AI get confused if I repeat the same instruction several times using different wording? Okay, since that increases the total length of the prompt. And is there an optimal number of points in the instruction that I should not exceed?
Great question.
So
Thank you. And I'm just thinking like, hey, a couple of slides ago, we told you guys, make sure not to use any conflicting instructions. And then maybe we give two kind of conflicting instructions saying from on the one point, what you can do is to reduce the number of points in your do's and don'ts, or and in the other, we say, hey, or just add a couple of points saying using this instruction again. Well, it depends, and you can just try to see how it goes. So what we recommend is to keep do's and don'ts within 10 and 15 or 15 points for each. But that doesn't mean that if you have 16 points in each do and don't, then everything will break and will not work. Chances are it will. It's just a good rule to follow, and just like one thing we can do to optimize. And chances are that the AI will keep all those points in focus. But another thing, like, yeah, you can totally do that. You can add, not even, you can add the same instruction with the same wording, and that can also help scatter it across different do's and don'ts. Because it still might happen, because the way LLMs works, even if we have 15 instructions and there's some instruction that is still not followed, that is unfortunately a possibility. And a way to fix that is to add a critical before that instruction, or add that instruction one more time in a different place. So there are some ways you can troubleshoot them. So I would say if it doesn't work, first reduce the number of steps. or of your points of your instructions. If that didn't help, add a few criticals here and there. And if that didn't help, try repeating that instruction a couple of times, like one or two more times in different places of the playbook. For example, if you have an instruction in a global do, you can also add that same instruction in a step type specific do. And actually, there are no limits in what you write in your step types instructions. I would say for do's and don'ts there is, but like you can add like 15 different examples. That will be fine. The way we process them, that's okay. Like don't worry about those. You can add as many examples as you need to if you want to vary the way your output messages sound.
So hopefully, Pauline, we answered your questions. Thank you for a good one. And then we have two more, Eugene. So let's see. Andy is asking, can I access offers sections using the square brackets? For example, paint point one. Maybe that's
Totally.
going to be a feature request, but can we do this already? Tell me.
Yeah. That's I think that's the best way to do that. And if like earlier we said that yeah we can add the numbers to the
Mhm.
pain points in our offer, and then the way you reference to those pain points exactly like if that's pain point one, not pain point three, that's the way you do that. Just use the square brackets and write pain point one. Yeah.
And it will like take the pain point, which is like the top one from the offer. You see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Andy, hopefully answered your question. And again, taking a note to send email with more details. Another question I can see from Joe. Where does Playbook get the personalization signals used in the variables? I think we're talking about the square variables.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Um,
does it take a
so
personalization
yeah,
signal?
yeah. For each contact that we have in a sequence, we
Yeah.
try to research some additional information about about those. And we have like if you go to personalization point setting, you can choose which personalization points to use. So we have our default personalization points, and that's when we are going to, if we have this info, we're going to have a look at the person's LinkedIn information. We'll have a look at their company's website. We'll try and see if they have been mentioned in the news, like this person or their company. And that's actually everything that we collect on the background before sending that message. So that's just what's happening under the hood. And you can also actually select what kind of personalization points you want to look for. So there are some other things like financial information or person hobbies. Basically, what we will go into do, not exactly a Google search, but kind of in a way, we'll also go and try and look for that additional information. And there are also some custom personalization points. So let's say you have your own database of contact that you didn't add like via replies autopilot, but you already had a source of information, and you have some fields about that person that are very specific, like something that we haven't had time to cover today, but maybe this will be a good
Hmm.
place to
Hmm.
do that. So, for example, you are reaching out and you are hiring, for example, you see that that person is hiring data scientists. They have this, you have this personalization point open job title that came from your source of information. And you can also choose that personalization point in a setting that you want to use an open job title. And let's see, so you can add it actually via the curly braces. And we will use that in the outreach. So your framework might look like, hello, I came across the company's recent job postings. Looks like you're scaling and your engineering team for open job title. And then we'll see that as data scientist. And then so Acrox is hiring a data science ML lead, exciting growth and things like that. So you can add your own personalization points and import them into the playbooks instructions via the frameworks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eugene. Hopefully, Joe, we answered. But then again, if you need more details, reach out to our support via chat, send email over. look at our knowledge base. Basically, yes. So we will do the research of the prospect, each given prospect. We will take the LinkedIn URL. If you have it with this contact, we'll go to the LinkedIn profile of this person. We'll see what they post, what they like, the whole sentiment of their account. We have the domain because we see the business email of that person. We'll go to their website. We'll dig what is interesting is going on there. All that information is collected on the background. Plus, personalization points. If you want to be specific, give me 10K financial reports, give me industry trends. We have maybe 15 of those in the JSON AI tab of the sequence. So that's, and the last one, as Eugene showed us, if you have your own values, you can create your own like a variable and share this information with JSON. It will pick up also that. So, many resources where you can feed the information to JSON personally as well. Yeah, and before, I think we have 1-2 minutes left. The question would be for you: do you like to see more of the webinars? And if so, what kind of topics would you like for us to prepare for you? Like, should it be something about, like, again, deep dive of the playbooks, or maybe handle replies, or maybe new features, or let's say best practices, or maybe we should host the playbook, the webinar about the worst practices and how other clients do. And let us know in the chat if something else you want to participate, you want us to prepare. What should it be? Okay, Chris, handle replies. Yeah, it can be like a separate topic when we can cover how can JSON save you time, build this AI drafts, or automatically uh, have a conversation with your prospects. On top of that, we have many features that AI can now even book calls, actually. Go to your Calendly and find time, offer the time to prospect, or actually book the call. That would be just a spoiler, nothing more. If you want to see that, I think we're going to sit with a team and decide what should be the next webinar and when. And we will do everything that we can to reach out to you with these updates. Wait for the emails and then follow-ups until you reply to us. Best practices. Okay, best practices. This is what we can have as well. Another idea, setting up and configuring a new AZ. Okay, so basically how to build a new sequence from scratch, what to think about, how to fine tune. Okay, well noted, Andy, thank you. As practical as possible. Yeah, makes sense. I think this is it. Thank you so much for being with us, for your dedication, for your time here. We really hope this has been helpful. Eugene, if you want to say a couple of words before we say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your great questions. It's great to see actually the interest and the way you guys think. And we'll also see from your questions that you kind of already thinking in the right directions of how to fix some of the issues you might have. And that's a great sign for us that this meeting today was fruitful for all of us. So thank you for your ideas for our upcoming webinars. Stay tuned. We'll try to prepare something special for you as well. So have a great day, everyone.